If you like the idea of a dinner party where all the guests hate each other, there's some real acidic one-liners, put-downs, lots of rowing going on, really unpleasant people. The last people you'd want to share a dinner party with. If that's your bag, then come along and see this play because that's where the humour lies.
I'm playing Lars Janssen, a philosopher who's written a best-selling book. My wife is giving a dinner party in honour of my best-selling book, but the party kind of disintegrates as a lot of backbiting goes on.
It becomes very clear very quickly that Paige and Lars don't have much respect for each other. The first guest to arrive is an old flame of Lars's, who's supposed to have brought her new partner, but he's not in the picture any longer, and so it leaves the path open for Lars to rekindle his relationship. And then the next guest to arrive is another couple, friends of Lars and Paige, and it's clear immediately that they too have very little time for each other. They have communication problems, lack of respect. Sian shows herself to be as stony, or if not stonier than Paige, Lars's wife. And then thrown into the mix, we also have an uninvited guest who literally gate crashes. He crashes his van into their gatepost in the fog. He's the working class element to the proceedings. And then there's the waiter, who this mysterious waiter. We're not really quite sure if he's a naturalistic character or not. And it is funny, I have to stress that. It is a comedy, but it's a very black comedy.
I play the part of Wyn. She's an artist who used to go out with Lars at university, so we've met up and I'm invited to their dinner party, so I'm a provocative eroticist, that's what I call myself. She's just an artist who's a figurative artist, just talks about art the whole way through, and she's very, she's kind of like a bit of a hippie, kind of like an earth mother. It's not very used, doesn't like some of the words that are used throughout the play, so she gets quite upset by some swearing, which there's quite a bit of it in the play, so watch out.
There was a suggestion that we should cut out some of the language, but I insisted on that was part of the play. It was crucial to the type of horrible people that the play focused on. So I insisted that we kept that in, and it was a deal breaker. Had they insisted on some of the language being taken out, I would have walked away from it because I really wanted it to be as written.
So I play Hal. Hal is married to Sian in the play. Hal's a scientist, and he's friends already with Paige and Lars, who are holding the dinner party. I've never seen anything by Moira Buffini before, but I do know of her work, and I know that she's quite a modern playwright. I'm not a big fan of, I suppose I'm not a big fan of this kind of situation play, and yet hers is quite exciting because it's a little bit different to anything I've seen before.
Well, I mean, when I was offered it, I gave it a good read, and I really liked the dark humour of it. I liked the acidity of some of the lines in there, and I thought we could actually have quite a bit of fun with it.
No, it's a departure. I normally tend to play army people and do normal comedies and that type of thing. So yes, doing a black comedy drama is something completely different for me.
But really enjoying this one. It's been a real privilege to be in.
What's been the hardest part of this?
I think it's sitting still. I think actually that most of the play you're sitting at the dinner table. There's a lot of water consumed, which would be really great if it was wine or gin. So I think it's going to be like making sure you pop to the loo before you start and in between the scenes. But yeah, it's been quite difficult that you're kind of on stage a lot and it's just sitting at the table. So it's finding things to do and not fidgeting too much, which I do tend to do quite a bit. So it's making sure you get the character and you continually work with that throughout the play.
It's a talky play and
Yes,
it's
it
a
is.
dinner party, so how hard has it been getting movement?
It has been quite difficult. It's difficult in that space anyway, in the forge. So to have a fixed table is quite difficult. So we've tried to keep the table at the back of the stage to get so it allows maximum exposure to the cast for the audience. And there are times where, because there's quite a lot of disgust at the food that's dished up, so there's quite a lot of movement away from the table anyway. And then a bit later on there's Paige introduces a party game where they all have to talk for 2 minutes on a given subject, so we've been able to introduce some movement there.
It's been very enjoyable actually. No, I've enjoyed doing it. It's different for me. It's not a period piece. Most of my other plays which I've done, which have been from periods, and this is contemporary, which is a nice thing to do for a change.
Part of the reason why I came to the Little Theatre was because my grandmother was from Bolton originally, and she had a long association with amateur theatre. She used to follow my granddad around the country, and Bolton Little Theatre was her starting point. So it's kind of strange that all these years on, I found myself back at Bolton Little Theatre and on their stage, which is fairly bizarre even for me.
I really wanted to have some live lobsters, but it was going to prove too difficult because had we gone down that route, we would have had to make sure we treated them humanely and they didn't suffer in any way, and because that was the last thing we wanted to do. The equipment to do that would have been too costly to get, so we had to improvise. Hopefully they look realistic enough to so the audience don't get too hung up on the fact that they're not real.
I think this play is madness. It will blow your mind. Just please listen. It's fun, but it will make you think.